Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Greg Gorbach with ARC, a vice president and manager here, heading up our digital transformation team of analysts. And today I want to talk about this important new report that we released earlier this year about the digital transformation top 25. So let me see if I can figure this out. So, this report allowed us to gain some insight, just the process of working through this report. We followed a pretty rigorous process, but it allowed us to gain some insight about what are these leaders doing and how do they become, why did they rise to the top of our report? So some of the things that we identified are shown here. And the first is hyperconnectivity. Everything's getting connected, sensors and assets, and devices and people and processes, these are all getting connected. And that connectivity lets companies then apply the data that they gain from that, and along with some advanced analytics and cognitive technology and AI and machine learning. This allows these companies to generate more value from their resources, to develop new products and services and business processes, to improve their productivity and resilience and agility, and importantly, to imbue a data culture throughout their organization. And that's because these companies can focus on the talent of their, in their workforce, and that's, of course, trying to acquire some 21st century skills. This is part of the equation. But also, taking these technologies and allowing you to have remote workers and connected workers take the work to the workers instead of the workers to the work. These leading companies have already started to emphasize climate and societal impact issues within their purview. So these companies are often leading thinkers in this area. Sustainability and ESG matter. It's getting more and more attention. Investors are paying attention to it. And these companies are in part leading the way. Another characteristic of these companies is that they are focusing on improving their business models, their digital business models, focusing on their customers, whether they're, it's a B2B or a B2C kind of organization. They're changing their business processes and structures, and they're trying to focus on becoming a customer-centric, competitive excellence company. So it's really a kind of an outside-in. The transformation is all about, doing a better job in positioning your company. Of course, these companies are looking at digitalizing their supply networks to become more intelligent and dynamic and resilient. And, as Andrew Obin just pointed out as well, software. It's all about software for a lot of these companies. So these are the industrial digital transformation top 25 companies that we've identified. And you can see that they cover quite a range of industrial space. So there's a big group in the pharma and biotech sector, but we've also got companies represented in machinery and aerospace and automotive and high tech, consumer goods and chemicals and energy and mining. So it's quite an array. And we've got 25 companies shown here on the list. So what else did we learn in the process of putting this whole report together? Well, first is that these companies are motivated by external market signals. By looking out to the marketplace, the companies tend to ask the right questions, which leads them to put the right kind of transformation program in place to support their differentiation relative to answering those questions. We looked at performance, because thought, hey, maybe companies that are performing very well are those that are digitally transformed. And yeah, sometimes that's true, but sometimes it's exactly the opposite that's true. Sometimes the companies that aren't really doing that well are the ones that are motivated and say, hey, this is why I'm transforming, because I have to. And really everybody has to, but some companies feel it a little more acutely. Another thing that makes a digital transformation leader is leadership with regard to their workforce. So, companies that are strong digital transformation companies focus on innovation, which is change, which means a big impact on your culture. So these companies can focus on business outcomes that differentiate, as we talked about earlier. But it's also important for these leaders within the companies to explain what's this transformation, what's it going to look like, and how's it going to affect people, because that's really what's going to matter to making it successful. And in the process of doing that, of course, these companies also realign their incentives with a new vision. And finally, every company needs their own transformation experts to help guide and drive this process. And what we find over and over again is that the best digital champions are those who leverage expanded peer groups. They don't just look within their company, they don't just look within their industry, but they learn from others outside of their organization and outside of the industry. And that's why we're all here today, isn't it? So for us, to put the report together, we landed on this definition for digital transformation. It's the integration of digital technology into all areas of business, fundamentally changing the way companies operate and deliver value to customers. The organization is typically charged to innovate and improve across multiple dimensions, including the digital technologies, but also culture and leadership and operational agility, workforce engagement, customer experience, ESG, and competitive performance. So the report looks like this. We focused, we have a front matter with some analysis and trends and findings. We have the list of the companies, the top 25 companies, and the scores, and I'll go into that in a little bit here. We've got profiles for each of the top 25 companies, and then some additional profiles from some companies that didn't appear on the list but are clearly transforming. And then we have, within the report, a methodology deep dive. We just explained the definitions and industries and why we included companies and why we excluded companies. And weighting and other factors. So we've got a lot of details there. And then we've got a looking forward section. So it's a really interesting report. The first, we have I'll just take a couple of minutes here and go through how we went about this. And it's basically a 4-step approach that we took. First step is to identify the candidate companies. And for this part, we realized that since we wanted to include some financial data, we wanted to look at companies, large industrial companies who have their public data, their data available publicly. We looked at technology users and selected about 200 from that list. Now, we recognize that there are a lot of companies that are not technology users that are doing great things in digital transformation. And all of our sponsors and all of the suppliers and vendors folks that we have here are all doing interesting and amazing things in digital transformation. So thank you, but we didn't include you in our report. The next step was to reach out to our community. And we tapped a community of digital transformation knowledgeable folks from across industry. We looked at folks we know, folks who are in our community. We have some academics in the group. We have some folks from industry organizations. And we have a global community of folks that we tapped. And we asked them to help us select from that group of 200 companies the top 25. And we did the same with our ARC analysts. And then we took just combined all that data together with an algorithm that, popped out the top 25 companies. Based on those things, the financial metrics and the digital transformation metrics and the collective wisdom. And then finally, we interviewed as many of these top 25 leading companies as we could, put together our analysis and wrote up the report. The industries that we included are those that, you see represented here. The companies that you guys are either part of or that you serve. I won't go through the whole list, but it's a familiar list. This is our group. And these are the components of the algorithm. So we looked at financial indicators and transformation indicators and collective intelligence. Those are the three big buckets. And as we said, so that means that we use publicly available data, also ARC proprietary research data, and our community input. So we combined all that together, and all those factors combined to yield a score for each company. And then the top score, the top 25 scores, are the top 25 companies in our report. So that's the basic methodology. And all this detail is in the report itself, so you can get that here. If you'd like to get a copy, I think they're kicking around here somewhere at the event are available some InTech magazine copies that have a nice article about this report, so that's available here. If you'd like to download a copy, you can download it from this QR code or from this advice, or basically go to arcweb.com. And I think it's also available through the app in your swag bag. So there are a number of different ways you can get the report. And then I'd like to put out a request, to folks here who would like to help us and who are a little bit knowledgeable about digital transformation and would like to help us by being part of the community that helps us select the leading candidates. So we look to, this is an important piece, that collective intelligence of our community is really a big piece of the score. And we would invite any end users or members of industry organizations or members of academia who would be interested to help us. Please sign up now. You can let me know, or you can use the QR code or the web address that's shown here on the slide. So we'd really welcome that. Also, I'd like to point out that we have several of these top 25 companies here at our event, and tomorrow morning's keynote is going to really feature some of those companies, along with a sort of a deep dive and focus on what makes them great and what makes digital transformation and what makes them leaders. So please pay attention to that keynote session tomorrow. And with that, I would just like to wrap it up and thank you very much.